Hi everyone, so here is Moonlight Soul and Adrian from Just Kidding Astrology, and we're getting together to talk about the first lunation for 2025, which is the full moon in Cancer. Hi Adrian,
Hi, Mila.
nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Nice to be here on
Yes,
this full moon.
exactly. With the first one with the lunar axis in Pisces Virgo as well.
Yeah, that just happened yesterday. Or
Right.
yesterday for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. On the 11th, the
Yeah,
master number frequency, January 11th, we had the nodal shift. North node moved into Pisces and South node into Virgo.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
is completely changing the energy from now on.
absolutely. Yeah, it totally is. I'm looking forward to it, I think.
I'll ask you next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Do
it's,
that.
it's
'Cause It's
going to
gonna
be
run,
very
it's gonna
different.
run, yeah, it's going over my Pluto North Node conjunction at some point, and my moon, my Venus, and my South Node.
Wow, a lot of new cycles.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of new cycles.
It's good. That's exactly where we at, as a humanity.
I mean, that is where we're at
You're
right
right on
now.
track.
Right on track. We're ready to move. It's like, you know how over the last year we've been talking about how it's like we're getting ready. It's like the feeling of, I remember last spring we were talking about it's like getting ready to go. Everybody wants to go, but we couldn't actually move forward.
Hmm.
That forward movement is happening now, but it's a subtle forward movement. It's like it's internal.
Exactly. Yeah, because we need to make the changes from the inside out, not the other way
Yeah,
around. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Mars retrograde is definitely supporting that and conjuncting this moon as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about reconsidering how we've been acting and
Hmm.
adjusting, whether we need adjusting or not.
Yeah. Well, with the South Node in Virgo is the anchor point. We need to
That's it.
decide what are we keeping and what are we adjusting.
Exactly. Exactly. So shall I
Cool.
pull up the
Yeah, let's look at the chart.
and there it is. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, January 13th, 526. Yeah, I have 426 here in Central Standard.
Yep. It's a pretty chart, a little bit balanced. I was noticing while I was doing my writing that there's one, two, three, four conjunctions that are happening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, one, two, three closing and one opening. So we are still closing out some cycles, but part of this closing cycle is leading into this opening cycle as we begin the process of individuation, which is the new cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that we're like tying up loose ends and readjusting ourselves. So yeah, like you said, the nodes, to me, the nodes are the big point of this chart. One, because they just moved in, and the ruler of the south node is squaring the nodes. So I find that to be quite interesting. But I was thinking about how when the nodes change signs, we always start at the end, which
Mm.
is interesting. And it's like so for Virgo, I spend a lot of time with Virgo because I have my Pluto in Virgo, and where Virgo has a big range of things that it's about, but for me, I always think about the hierarchy that we deal with. Um, and a lot of people on the emotional level are dealing with this hierarchy, this hierarchical feeling of being not good enough or being too good. Like you see the whole spectrum of it.
Hmm.
But most people that I run into, and including myself, don't feel good enough, and that causes this internal suppression. Um, but we're coming to the end of that 29 degrees. We're
Hmm.
starting at the end, and we're going to move our way out of it by next year.
Yeah, because it's like the redefinition of what Virgo means. Like we starting from the end, so we know where we've been. But just like like I mentioned to you, that to me this South Node in Virgo is the anchor point. It's like what's grounding us because this is where humanity's been. Like like everything that took place prior to this moment, it wasn't for naught. It wasn't for nothing. All these ancestors, all these so-called mistakes, all this bloodshed, all the suffering, it wasn't for nothing. It served its purpose, but now we have the opportunity to discern, and it's the analytic degree, the 29 degree, like what out of this are we keeping and what are we going to build upon, the new, like create
Yes.
something new. Like it's like, in a sense, like we're going to use that which we don't want to take with us as a fertilizer, like you be working,
Mm.
with the agriculture is like, when you have the fallen fruit that is now rotten and cannot be used, but it's a fertilizer for the new cycle to begin. So it's like that, we are deciding, okay, this is good, we mastered this, we taking this with us, or like we are going to give a new spin on it, Aquarian spin, or we're just going to use it as a fertilizer.
Yeah, I mean, I love that analogy. Yes.
Yeah.
But and then many things we will let go of, that North Node in Pisces. And it's also culminating to Neptune. So this energy of letting go is helping us to culminate this whole cycle.
Yeah, yeah, like there will be the conjunction right after the Aquarius new moon on the February 7th, so technically in between a new moon in Aquarius and the full moon in Leo. After Jupiter stations direct, we'll have the exact conjunction. So there is all that is
Mm.
close enough for us, which is also connected to this North Node just coming from Aries into Pisces, because we are ready to go into this new direction, but we don't know where we're going because it's the
No.
Neptune. So it's all like veiled and we cannot figure it out with our conscious with our ego mind, because Mars is in Cancer retrograde as a former ruler, and now Neptune is the ruler of the North Node, and Jupiter as a traditional ruler is also still retrograde in the sign of Gemini, and Mercury is in Capricorn. So that is all about the choice, choice based on what did we learn from the past, the Saturn in Pisces. Like, what did we learn?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure for everybody, we've all learned something different, but as a collective, I hope that we've learned that we are ready to move on from the place that we are now, because it's
Yeah,
rough out
that's
there.
why more and more people are and also because of as I share with you, with this Jupiter in Gemini is what's helping us to master our mind through the overload of information and potentially like mental chatter suffering, because it's all in our head, right? More and more people are unplugging. They're unplugging because the reality in a sense is becoming so unbearable that they have no choice. They have to unplug. They have to start discerning, like, is this serving me to know this truth, to know all this information? Is it actually serving me? Can I do anything about it? So yeah, there is a lot of energy being called back and focus inward rather than outward, because Mars as an arrow is pointing inward, Cancer, and there is all of that happening, and especially it's going to continue happening throughout these first 2 3 months, like now just about to move into Aquarius season on the 19th, and then we're going to be processing, and then further down Pisces, and yeah, and then until the equinox, I think there will be a lot of inward momentum, which will then be transformed in a spring season, and then we will start focusing outward later on,
Moving.
especially with the Aries eclipse, the final one.
The final one, yes. Yes. Well, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but there is a there is a lot of that needs to take place between now and then.
There is, and it's a lot of internal work. I mean,
Yeah.
we're we've been working internally for a while, but we're just, before we can go forward, we have to finish cleaning up a little bit. And I think that part of what we're working on is building this internal container, our structure, our external structure that allows us to be our authentic self and yet hold very strongly inside of us our emotional field, because we're going to need that, as this is the new place where we're going to be feeling our direction and how we're going to be moving forward in the world. Because I don't know if anybody can tell, but we can't look out of our eyes anymore. There's the focus, there's too much just I don't even know what you say about it, but there's too many differing perceptions that are out there. It's like flooding, and it's very confusing as to what is real and what is not real. And I think that part of this energy is because we're supposed to turn inward. We have an internal guidance system. We've just not, it's not been online because
Mm.
we've been taught and conditioned to focus everything on the outside of ourselves. And so the universe is turning us inward so that we can begin to learn that, because, well, the North Node and Neptune are together, like you said, everything is veiled. The only place I remember when I was first starting this studying, Jeffrey Wolf Green would say that the Neptune, the Pisces energy was like sitting in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean, and it's foggy,
Mm.
and you can't, like pea soup fog, and you can't see in any direction around you. How do you know what direction to go in with your little paddle to get to safety? And what he said was there is an internal guidance system. It's not seeing through your eyes anymore, but it's coming from within. And we are at that point. I think this North Node Neptune conjunction is exactly that, learning to feel from within. We have the ability to do that. We just don't, it hasn't been online yet for many of us.
I also feel it's like, Abraham Hicks would say, you allow the stream to carry you. You stop paddling upstream, you allow the stream to carry you.
Well, yeah, yeah,
So it's like that, like when we stop fighting, and in a sense just trust and surrender, which is the hardest thing, especially because of the ego need to survive and to control and be right, which is based on our trauma response because of what we all went through, whether, each individual experienced something traumatic, but as a collective.
as a
Right, this is
collective.
how we survived, and it's in each and every single one of our DNA. So yeah, we have this like need to like to preserve ourselves through this illusion of control, where our ego will say, okay, this is what happened, in the past, so we need to have the answers, we need to control, we need to manipulate this situation, because we think that in that case things will go our way. And in most cases they don't anyway. But it's just, we just keep paddling upstream because this is how we were conditioned and we don't know what else to do. So just like you said, that there is so much um, confusion, and will continue to be so with Neptune being the ruler of the North Node, that people will
Yep.
just not know which way to go. So they'll just have to, in a sense, surrender and just trust themselves, because also
Yes.
every person's inner guidance is different. It's what's right for them, but it's not necessarily right for you. So this is where, the individuation comes online, and it's like you have to trust your own inner voice, your own heart, even if nobody out there agrees with you. It doesn't matter, because they are perceiving reality very differently from how you perceiving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And to me, this is the point. I think this is the Moon Mars conjunction. This is, we're completing this old way of looking at our emotional field, and we are we're redoing it.
Mm.
We're reconsidering how to act through our emotional field. What feels right, what doesn't feel right. Learning that instead of being told from the outside how the action should follow.
And I feel that this is really connected to this, because we talk in lunar nodes. So obviously the south node just moved from Libra, and this moon being behind Mars, which in a sense is closing to Mars. like how we letting go of these identities, these masks that were created because of the external conditioning, because of our need and desire to belong and fit in, because in the past that was the only way to survive. There was no other way, that we had to become whatever the external world wanted us to be, because the way that world operated at this time, at that time, and the level of consciousness that the humanity was playing with at that time, it didn't allow for anything else. I mean, the people that were the rebels and on the fringe of society, in most cases, they wouldn't live very long. They wouldn't survive, because if they went against the grain, either their head was on a chopping board, literally and figuratively, or they were alone, and they were all alone against the elements, and they wouldn't live very long usually. So this is again a memory that lives in every single one of us, just like the witch hunt. Like every person remembers the witch hunt. Well, every single one of us, a witch burned on a stake, who knows? But the memory is within everyone. So it's the same, the memory of what the rebel archetype ended up as, and all these memories, it's like literally, it's like the tapestry of human collective consciousness, and it lives within everyone. And with the North Node in Pisces, with the Neptune in Pisces, and the South Node in Virgo, it's like we all remember
Yes.
everything. So it's just a
Yes.
matter of discerning, is this serving you on your journey, hero's journey, Virgo? And does this hold a meaning? And for each individual to decide for themselves, because Mercury is the rule of the South Node, and the rule of Jupiter at the moment, still retrograde, is in Capricorn, which is all about, you decide. You decide. You are the authority. You decide what story you want to start weaving for yourself, because with the Saturn moving into Aries, you will have to become a conscious creator of reality. Otherwise, the reality will become unbearable.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it sounds to me you were just reminding me about the Chiron in Aries. This is that wound that you're
Mm,
discussing about,
yes, correct.
how stepping out on our own and following our instinctual selves was certain death. And so we all carry that wound.
Mm.
Um,
And it's still on that eclipse degree, 19 degrees, the eclipse degree.
ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
from the eclipse in Aries last year in
Oh yeah.
April.
Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, it is, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way.
No, but we do have to step out onto our own. I mean, and each of us, I'm sure, are doing it in a very different way,
Hmm.
whatever is according to our makeup and what our journey is. But they are affecting us.
And also, like I said to you, that I completely blank out on that Uranus, but Uranus is making an exact trine to Sun and sextile to the
Yes.
Moon. And
And
Uranus is the rule of Pluto, and Pluto is conjuncting the Sun. I mean, the exact conjunction is on the 21st, the first one in our lifetime between Pluto and Sun in the sign of Aquarius. So this is very important. This is important factor to consider, because Uranus in Taurus is breaking us out of this need to live in a world and experience reality just from the animal survival point of view, that I'll just do anything just to survive. And this Pluto is like, nah, this is not the times we're living in anymore. And you are the magician, why would you want to just survive, when you can thrive and be abundant and have everything you want? But again, it takes you back to this Capricorn, and back to this Saturn, that do you believe you can? And that takes you back to the wound of the child. What happened long time ago, when we were being made to disconnect and stop believing. Like small child, before it gets conditioned, it believes everything is possible. It believes in
yes,
miracles. It thinks it's the center of its universe. And then the programming kicks in, and all the projection of the unhealed wounds from the previous generations. And then that's it. Then we spend the rest of our life to try to break free from it.
yeah. Well, and here's our opportunity is coming.
Yeah, it's
These are
here.
these are the signs that are coming back to this magical world that we live in, where we've been conditioned away from seeing it.
Hmm.
Um, but I know I have had experiences in my life that have shown me that it still exists, and so I'm watching that unfold and and trying to manifest.
Yeah.
a different reality in this world.
And that's like, that's really all that matters, you know, like how the person perceives their own reality, because we are the suns in our own universes, and then together we are co-creating the collective experience. But if more and more people will decide that this reality that I'm experiencing outside of me, which is just the effect of something of the past, this is not what I want to subscribe to with regards to what I want to be experiencing going forward. And then more and more people will make the decision and start manifesting their own reality, even though it's just in their mind to start with, because for the physical manifestation to occur, it takes some time, some delay, because it's the last stage of the manifesting process. But eventually, when these things start popping up like the mushrooms after the rain, then it will be a whole new ball game here.
Yes, I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting, it made me think about how, all of the manifestation we have now is from the past. It made me think about the way the light of the stars are. They say the stars aren't even actually there. We're seeing their manifestation from a long, long time ago. So that's just what it made me think of. It's like, oh, okay. So now we get the opportunity to change that manifestation and to change that past and decide what we want to see and begin making that manifest for the future people that come to the planet. So
Well, and
really,
ourselves as well, because the manifestation is speeding up, and especially with Uranus moving into Gemini in summer.
that
So
is
things are
true.
going to start manifesting much faster. It's just, it's like Joe
Mm,
Dispenza say that it's like, to get something moving, it's hard, but when it starts moving, then it just takes on its own momentum. So it's just the initial change that it's taking time, but then once we start seeing things manifested and we see that, oh, this actually works, then the more you believe it, the faster it will become, and the faster it becomes, the more you believe it. So then it starts becoming the new full self-fulfilling prophecy, which is of the more positive kind, rather than now we look at what we see around ourselves, which is the manifestation of the past, and we go like, oh, well, how this can be any different, look, here is the proof. And the more we focus on it and the more we believe in it and more we're talking about it, the more we keep remanifesting it, and it's difficult to make that shift, the initial shift. That's like, it's like rusty, it's hard to
yeah,
change that gear because we've been in this gear for so long. But then once we shift the gear and we really, and this is what I feel this Mercury in Capricorn is really like pushing us towards, we really have to be disciplined, we have to have the clarity what it is you want, and then you really have to be disciplined. Like it has to become your everyday reality, it has to become part of your everyday routine, because it will take some time for that to become the new habit, which is the neuroscience, right, the neuroplasticity of our brain, because we need to
exactly.
create new pathways, and it will take some time. So that's why I feel these first 3 months of this year until Aries season, we have to be super, super focused on the inner work.
Yes, absolutely. And this full moon is kicking it off, where it's a very internally focused moon,
Yeah, and
which
it's the illumination and it's the balancing. Like we are becoming conscious and aware of what we've learned in the past 6 months since July last year with the full Capricorn, two full Capricorn moons. Um, and now we have the opportunity to start putting it into practice with the Mercury in Capricorn on 7 degrees, which is the Libra degree. So it's all about balancing, the balancing act, but you always have a choice.
yes, yeah. Well, that is interesting. Yeah, I noticed that Uranus is making aspect to a lot of the planets,
Mm.
making aspect to both nodes. It's making aspect to the Moon Mars conjunction. It's making aspect to the Neptune North Node aspect. It's making aspect to both Pluto, the Sun, and Mercury. It's like everything but Jupiter and Chiron. I was like, ooh. And I think this has a lot to do with this breaking free. This is part of the Pluto energy where we're having to break free. um, from the way that we survive, and not only survival, but our values, because Taurus is very linked to values, and particularly how we value ourselves. None of
Exactly.
this manifestation can happen if we don't value our own beingness. And I think that part of this South Node journey through the South Node is to help us to let go of whatever self-value we've had, let it go, and really begin to understand that each of us are equal human beings and that we all have the ability, you know, each of us has different abilities, each of us has different talents, each of us, has different wounding, where we are all imperfectly perfect.
Hmm.
And um, if we can each hold ourselves in a place where we feel like we're able and we feel like we're good enough, our particular skills will come to the surface. And I think it's every single one of our skills that will be necessary to move this future forward, to move from this past, what we're seeing outside of our eyes now, into something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Because also, with the Uranus, it's on Capricorn Decan and it's on Aquarian degree. And then we go to Venus, and Venus is close into Saturn. And, this Pisces North Node, South Node in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn. Capricorn ruled by Saturn. So it's all taking us back to that hub in Pisces. And
Yeah.
that's telling us about letting go of the past way of relating to oneself and another based on which the structure of reality was creating, because everything is relational, and it was mostly based on this sense of restriction and lack mentality, which then made us feel victimized, and the necessity for comparison and constant competition to fight against each other because there was this not enough and stuff. Whereas it's like Richie, what you said, that everybody came here with their unique offering to the world, like we hold the seed, which is the sun, which is unique in each person's. So there is actually no need for any of that. There is no need to compete or to feel luck or to feel like somebody is better than someone else, because everybody came here with this unique offering which nobody else holds. So who is there to decide whose offering is more important? Everybody's offering is equally needed and important, just like we were saying previously, like whatever role you play in this reality, whether you are the great awakener or the awakenee, like everybody plays an equal role, because one would not exist without the other. The object that is not being observed doesn't exist. So it's like, it's like, it's all kind of like we can go into all these mind bending things where the entire reality wouldn't exist if you weren't there to observe it. So you are the creator of it, and it only exists because you dare to observe it. Otherwise, it doesn't exist, right? So what are we fighting about, actually? Like if you decide that the reality I'm observing is the only one that exists, that's the only one that's real to you, and if you stop paying attention and giving your life force and energy and focus to reality that is not desirable, then that reality for you ceases to exist. So
Yep.
it's like literally more and more dipping into this quantum field and into this so-called imaginary la la land. But Capricorn is gone. Now the only thing we have to play with is Aquarius and Pisces, which is the quantum field and the spirit world. So what are we looking back to past for?
Yeah. I mean, the association with the external is moving on. The South Node has moved out of Libra, and the ruler of Libra is in Pisces now. It's over. We're going to be moving into a whole new energy and breaking free from it. Also, Uranus is in Taurus, part of the Venus archetype there. And we're breaking that pattern off and dissolving. It's like our the way that we relate to ourselves and to other people is to become more transcendent. We're going to move above that
Hmm.
into a more spiritual existence, in this outer world with everything manifests, and it's become so tangible with goods and this and that, that it's almost like those things have become so much more important than humanity itself.
Hmm.
And that's ending.
Yeah, because like in essence, we need one another. Because again, if there was only one human in the world and no one else, that this human wouldn't exist. Because would we not have the relationships outside of ourselves, then we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve because everybody plays a role. We all just came here to to embody something that needs healing and then embody something that we can grow from and through. So it's just like it's so interesting when we start looking at it from the higher perspective of this Aquarian and Piscean lens, because in one sense it becomes kind of like clinical, that nothing is what you think it is. It is not about what you think it is. So it's
Right.
something completely different, and this is why we need to get a grip of the mind and the emotions, because the mind will always convince you just of what was the past stories. But let me tell you what this means, let me tell you how this was before. And then the emotion, that's the trauma response. Because if the emotions are out of control, and like, yes, like we said, the only role we have, like the main role, and not the only role, but the main role the emotions are meant to play is to be a messenger. But at the moment it is not the way they're being used. Like,
No,
like it's making us act out because we feel either shut down or we feel overwhelmed. Like
exactly.
there are not many people at the moment that are able to master the emotion when they actually understand what's going on, and they're able to self-soothe to the point of understanding, like detaching and understanding what is this about. So this is what Jupiter in Cancer will be teaching us about for the year from June. But yeah, this is all preparation for that. And this Venus in Pisces resetting with Saturn, I just checked, they're conjuncting on the 18th. So that's when the cycle is resetting between the two. And this
Mm,
is after Venus stopped being the ruler of the North Node and then South Node, because Venus was in the rulership and Mars for the past 3 years of the
yep,
nodes. So this is like, okay, like she's in a sense like being like washed clean, like rebirth. Like, okay, we're going beyond, we're going into this new way
exactly.
of relating, which is from this point of unconditional love, the source love, not the human love, the source
Yes,
love, which is not conditional. Like most relationship and relational dynamic we are experiencing on these planets are conditional. It's a conditional love.
yes. And we're going to be learning compassion, self-compassion, which will lead to compassion for other people.
Yes.
And so as Venus crosses, well, it's going to cross over all of that, Saturn, Neptune, and the node,
Mm.
and begin anew.
Yes.
That'll be
Yeah.
nice.
So it is, and then Venus, yes, next the week after, I just recorded about it. Venus is making a trine to Mars, yeah, on Saturday the 25th, which apparently is a very special day, January 25th. I heard people talking that is some day when all the planets are aligned.
I've
Like,
heard that, but when I
yeah,
looked, I did not see the alignment.
I don't know.
Aligned how? They didn't. I didn't. I couldn't see it. I didn't know exactly. I haven't listened to anybody report on it yet. Um, but when
Well,
I pulled the chart up, I was like,
how
"There's
is that
not a
possible?
single conjunction."
I don't know, but the one thing we know is that Venus is making a trine to Mars, and this is the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and they both in a signs of healing, feeling, and intuition, the receptivity.
Mm,
So whether the planets are aligning in the sky or not, but this is about healing and balancing the divine feminine and the masculine, and approaching both from the transcendent point of view, which is not about ego. So yeah.
nice. Yeah, we're moving beyond that
Yeah.
for sure.
It is going to take time, but yeah, but we are going. We are going, kicking or
Yep.
screaming.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I don't see, do we have any in conjunction?
we have no inconjunctions. We have two sesquiquadrates, which will become inconjuncts shortly.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's no inconjunct, so there's no blind spots, but there
Yeah,
are places where we're feeling a little bit blocked.
yeah.
That would be the sesquiquadrate between Mars and Venus, and the sesquiquadrate between Neptune and Mercury.
Mhm. Okay, and that's to do with the dissolving of the ego, the protective walls, because there is, like I just said, recently channeling with the spirit, and they said there is nothing wrong with your ego. The problem is that the ego is wounded. You know, the ego has a function. The ego is important. It's a part of the human experience. It's the wounded ego that is the challenge. You know, to your experience because it's playing out from the unconscious, wounded aspect of itself. So yeah, so this sexy quadrate, whatever, I don't work with these aspects, but this is what I got from spirit about that like the Venus Mars thing that is going to then become trine on the 25th. So not even two
Mhm.
weeks after, uh, this is what then is going to become more conscious to us, because Venus, this is the closing trine, so that's the harvest. That's the
Yes.
harvest. So it's going to yeah, it's about us healing the wounded aspects of ourselves, which is also with Mars being in Cancer. Retrograde is about the reparenting, and Venus, as the mother, as the woman, as the divine feminine being in Pisces, it is about the compassion and forgiveness, because everybody is just playing their role, like none of these roles we play in here, none of that is who we are, it's just our spirit put on a costume, took on a script, and said like, okay, I'm gonna put my unique spin on it, me as a soul. We all have a unique signature, but none of these roles we playing out is who I am. It's not who you are. It's not
Yeah.
what any of us is. This is just a role we came here to play in this
Yeah.
incarnation, and that's it.
And
So yeah.
there's, yes, and the roles are transient. You may be playing a role one day and then the next day a whole different role. So,
Well,
but
that's
it's,
the multidimensionality that we're stepping into.
yeah, yeah. Well, and things are shifting constantly.
Hmm.
We're all growing and evolving.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like bowling. As you knock one pin down, then there's more that need to go down. We're just one after the other. We're pulling down the layers of the onion until we can get to our true and golden selves, that shining sun.
Well,
And I think,
and yeah, carry
go ahead.
on.
I was going to say, and I think that that's the goal of this Pluto and Aquarius is to break out of the structures that have kept us locked in this particular way and really begin to move toward our sun. The opposition point of Pluto is Leo, which is
Mhm.
our true self. It's our true purpose and how we are authentic. And that's the goal of this whole period of time, the next 20 years.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, like with this, peeling off the layers of the onion, with obviously Mars going retrograde in Cancer, that's definitely supporting that process, but also this stepping into the lunar year of the wood snake. Because what is snake about? It's all about shedding old skin, isn't it? The metamorphosis is also the Pluto archetype, Scorpio, like it's connected to Pluto. So yeah, that's I feel like it's very interesting to me that last year was the wood dragon, and it was very strongly connected to the strength. The year number 8 we were in, and this is the year 9, which is the hermit, which is the Virgo, and 9 is the number of culmination, closing of the cycles, and we are in a year of the snake.
Yeah, I think it's even a wood snake.
Yeah, it
And
is a wood snake, yes.
yeah, I'm not sure what that part of the astrology is about, the different things, but
Elements.
I think that's interesting.
I'm not sure. Like I'm just tapping into the association with regards to the animal itself, the spirit animal. But the wood, I mean, that's definitely a symbolization of the earth, and what
Yes,
what needs to be, how do you say,
transmuted.
as well, and purified. Yes, because the wood burns, and then it becomes the jet, the crystal, and like also like a gold is made burning, right? Like you create gold by burning it. And also like with the diamond is the pressure and stuff, like yeah, we're going through this purification in a sense.
Yeah.
of the old layers, the like stripping us to the core essence of who we are by burning that which is not who we were, is the purification of the soul. Also, like I remember when I was listening to some of the channeling videos, they said, it's the fire of your soul. It's a fire, like it's the Aries, it's the wands, it's the spirit, it's the fire. So yeah, and wood burns, right? So I mean, I don't know. It's just like it's like we can go into a whole new ball game with that, but it is all connected. Everything is
Mm.
connected. There is no coincidence why we have lunar year starting on a new moon in Aquarius, post full moon in Cancer, with all these placements, post the lunar shift and everything, and everything is happening simultaneously. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
I mean, I've always linked the snake to the Scorpio archetype because it is like the onion. It sheds its skin
Mm,
regularly. As soon as it outgrows its skin, for it to grow anymore, it has to split that outer skin and become anew.
yeah.
And that's how it survives. And yeah, I think the Scorpio archetype is a lot like that. We become emotionally limited in particular places because the energy of Scorpio wants to hold on and merge with and stay tight, but you can't grow anymore in that way. So you
Mm.
have to split that skin. And I think it's interesting in my Pluto's been on my sun. It's now off and not going to be back on it again. But you were even here. I got bit by a snake.
Yeah. It was
The time,
the beginning of your metamorphosis.
yeah, really. It was in the last little bit of Pluto sitting on my sun. So yeah,
Yeah, it is definitely like you said, like we in a sense over identify with all these labels and the past identities and everything. And now this is the year where it all has to go. That's why with the North Node in Pisces, it all has to be flooded, it all has to be taken down with the river, the purification, the fire and the water. The fire burns it and the water washes it clean so it can heal, so it can become something new. So like from the spiritual perspective, even like we were saying, the fires, you can have a million different ways of looking at it. And one of the perspective is the spiritual perspective of purification. There are obviously different perception of way of looking at anything you can look at from multiple different points of view. But the
absolutely.
fire, just the same way as the water, all the elements, it's important for the letting the old go and creating the fertile ground. This is also something that Spirit said to me when I had my channeling about when things burn and then the soot, the ashes, they also become part of the stuff that fertilizes.
Oh,
So
yes.
everything, the nature never wastes anything. So everything that's going on in our life on the collective stage in the nature, everything everywhere, it holds a purpose, and the purpose is always the continuation of life and the evolution.
Yes. And that's where we are now. We're at a big juncture.
Yeah,
People have been saying it for a while, but this is the juncture
this is the
that's
turning
happening.
point. This
It
year
is
is the
the turning
turning
point.
point because next year is the wheel of fortune, and that's the brand new thing kicking off with the number 10, the 1 and the 0. 2026, the year number 10.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Which is the one. Yeah.
the reset point next year, 2026.
Yep. That it is.
So this is where we are. This year is the preparation. This is the boot camp, like I've been saying. This is the boot camp. This is the preparation for stepping into the roles we came here to play, stepping into our purpose. That's why Mars is going retrograde from Leo to Cancer back to Leo, opposing Pluto 3 times. The old way of being and the new way of becoming.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean,
There it is.
you can just hop from planet to planet and they will all tell you the same story. They will say, hey, listen, this is my role to play, but the narrative is the same. So like where we going, it's there is no question how it's gonna look like and how we're gonna get there. That is gonna look different to different people, but where we're going, there is no question.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, we don't know what it is, but we are definitely going somewhere.
Somewhere different. Somewhere
Somewhere
very
different.
different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
which is good. I love an adventure.
Yeah, this is definitely the time for the for the ones that are adventure oriented.
Yeah, yeah. What else? What else do you see in this chart?
I know because I always go by the story. I don't
Hmm.
focus at things in separation.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, we're talking the story. This is what's
hmm.
happening. I
But I
mean,
mean, we have the grand earth trine. There is the mystic rectangle.
there
The
is a
fire and
mystic.
the water. The trine is the earth. Um, so yeah, there is a lot of support. There is a lot of support. Obviously, stay grounded and just connect to your emotion and let everything that needs to be washed away to wash away.
Yes,
There's gonna be a lot of crying this year,
yes,
and that's necessary because it's all the pain that has been suppressed and stuck for a long time. So it has to come out.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that is the moisture for the new earth, like the soot, the rotten fruit. That is all the fertilizer, and then we need the water to make it grow. So
Yeah,
that is the tears.
it was
Whether
interesting when
yeah,
you were talking about the fire and the water purification, and it made me think of the floods that are happening all around the world and these fires that have been happening. Like
mm,
there is some serious purification going on.
yeah, absolutely, and yeah, and it is very unfortunate that there are people that are affected,
Yeah,
But
I
in
mean, it's
essence,
tragic.
yeah.
But like you were saying, there's two points of view. You can have it from the earthly egoic point of view, or you can have it from the, external looking down upon it, spiritual point of view. These things must come to pass.
It's the Gemini, the human and the spirit, but both are equally valid. And we have to experience both because if we suppress the human experience and just idealize it by the spiritual concepts, then we didn't learn the lesson still. Like it's still like it just creates more suffering and more, more trauma. So both have to be experienced. So that's why whatever we're going through, we need to experience it. We need to go through it and have uh, the experience as human, like yes,
Yes,
like for all of us, even, and that's why, like spiritual bypass and stuff, because we can put any spiritual spin on it. But if we don't actually allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel and just try to logically explain it or spiritual bypass it, then it's not healed. So that's what I mean. Like this year there is no hiding. There is no
um,
hiding behind the ego. There is no hiding behind any scriptures or any spiritual definitions. There is no hiding behind anything. There is literally, with the Virgo Pisces being in Virgo, the nodes being in Virgo Pisces axis, the entire human collective wound has to be embodied, experienced, and transcended. And everybody plays a role. Everybody's got a piece of that pie on their plate. So everybody has to go through this.
yes, yes. So true.
Yeah, this is like much bigger than ourselves. This is
Yeah,
not just about individual, but the collective is made of individuals.
yes, absolutely. So, where we've been totally focused outside of ourselves for eons, this will have a period of time of internal focus. And then there'll be, like you said, the Gemini, where we'll have our focus in both places.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
have to learn that internal, and I think that's what this moon is about, the beginning of really focusing on our emotional field in another way. Like you said, the emotions are the messengers. They allow you to know what's going on with you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like it's not good or bad. It's just like it's just showing us where is the imbalance in a sense. because like and I mean obviously I'm biased at the moment because I've been binging on Abraham Hicks and Joe Dispenza, and I'm very transparent about it. I don't make secrets about it. Like like the emotions are meant to just give us the message: are you in the flow with your soul or not? If you feel good, you are in a flow. If you not feel good, you're not in a flow. And then we just have to find out, like, okay, why is that? What happened? Let's go back. What was I thinking? What was I doing? Who was I interacting with and stuff? And then we have the opportunity to make a choice. Okay, is this how I want to spend my time? Do I want to keep engaging with these thoughts? Because like we would say that, well, but it's a truth. This is happening. This is the truth. But there are so many things that are truth. Like, I mean, you can decide, do you want it to be your truth? Do you want to continue to keep this as your truth? Because unless it's a universal law, then it's mutable. You can change it, right? It is not set in a
Yeah.
stone. So it really is just a matter of us mastering our mind and mastering our emotion. And then
Yep.
obviously we will go through things that are outside of our control, because like we are just one person, but I mean with a big power. But there are collective contracts that are in play, there are universal contracts that are in play, and this we cannot touch. There is nothing we can do about this. There are also things that are outside of our control, but this is like we've been talking for a year now. We always have a choice. What do I want to focus on? The things that I can control and change, or the things that I cannot? So
Yes.
why would I be wasting all this energy on the things that I cannot do nothing about, and they have an impact? So this is where I feel that more and more people are putting their energy back and becoming more inward oriented, because they cannot handle it anymore. And like how much bad it has to get for us all to realize that, well, you're not supposed to handle it, you're not supposed to fix it, you're not supposed to carry it all by yourself. Like we are all here to do it together, but we have to do it from the full cup. So if I'm
Yes.
trying to get to the point of being flat on the floor and I'm still trying to save the world, well, I'm not good to anyone, am I?
No.
So so that's what I mean. Like your responsibility is to take care of you. And then when your cup is full, then you can contribute towards helping the world to become a better place, but not before you master your own life.
Yes. Yes. And
And
that's
this
what
is,
this time period is between
yeah,
now and 2026 is learning that mastery.
this is everyone. Nobody is
Yes.
spared. Like, I mean, if you're over 18 years old, no excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of the young ones will be wired this way. Yeah.
They already are, yeah. Especially, I mean, Capricorns for sure, but even the Sagittarius, they also, but depends, if they still have Scorpio on the cusp.
True.
They still are fighting some of the karma, but the younger Sagittarius. And yeah, and Capricorns for sure. And these new kids, don't even worry about those. Like by the time they are adults, like this world will be a different place, and it's our responsibility to make it so, because they are the future. They are the visionaries for the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Their role is very different from ours. We are here to clean up the past and be the bridge between the past and the future. They came from the future. They have a different role to play, and it's no better or worse, easy or whatever, more difficult. It is what it is. The soul just signed up for whatever the soul signed up.
Yes. Yeah. And like we said, everybody's got their role to play. And so,
Exactly, and everybody's needed. Everybody's role is important.
yes. Yes, absolutely.
So this is
Okay.
pretty a kickoff for the 2025, eh?
I think it's great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's and not that it's not easy. It's going to take some internal work. And like you were saying, some dedication and a lot of discipline to
Hmm.
really work through this. But
But we had the opportunity to learn that with Pluto in Capricorn, eh? And Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces. So it's all, how much more time do you need? Now is no time. We ran out of time. Now you have to put in practice. South Node is in Virgo. Come on.
yeah, yeah, doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah, but in a different way. In a way that you decide is the right way for you, because Mercury is squaring the nodes over there, right?
Yep, yep.
Pointing to the
And
South Node in Virgo.
yep. And we're working on creating our own reality as we want to see it. So there you go.
And I can so like hear some people like, but isn't that selfish? Isn't that like self-centered? I mean, if you think about it, the whole universe is self-centered.
I
Everything
mean,
is rotating around somebody's sun. So the difference is, do you want other people to, like do you want you to rotate around other people that they are your sun, or do you want other people to rotate around you as your sun? You decide, but always there is somebody rotating around the sun, right?
yeah,
And this entire universe is self-centered. Everything is self-centered because it centers on the center, right? So,
right.
and the center is always the self, which is the I am, and I am is the extension of the source, and source
Yes,
is about I am. So I mean, like, what are we talking about here? But it's all
yes,
this stigma, and yeah, the Virgo, the guilt and shame because of the conditioning, especially religion, Pisces, in a twisted way,
yeah,
that said like, oh, you need to turn the other cheek and put yourself last. And where did it get us? That behavior, not very far. So let's just now regear,
yep.
change the
And
gear.
this is part of that Libra paradigm as well, where we're always self-sacrificing for the other,
Mm.
getting others, meeting the needs of others first before our own. And when you get into that whole scheme, then you're doing a lot of stuff and never getting your needs met.
Yeah, then you're screwed for life, because then you will always need somebody else to fulfill your needs, and nobody's obliged, like everybody is responsible for themselves over the age of 18. And this is not from the place of selfishness, this is from a place of self sufficiency, and just like pure self-care, and also respect for the self, like respect for you as a soul embodied in this body. You have a responsibility towards yourself, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then you can extend the responsibility towards others, but there has to be a receiving, giving and receiving, and also healthy boundaries. And this is also,
Yes,
part of this Mercury in Capricorn. People are learning
absolutely.
to say no, people are learning to
Learning to
set
say no.
boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also, this Venus and Saturn together. We're learning these boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, because if there are no boundaries being defined and somebody step all over them, you cannot blame other people, because like, and that's what I mean, with the Libra, South Node in Libra, like it was always about this people pleasing and trying to do what we think other people wants us to do, and then we usually end up being resentful and alone. The Aries,
Yeah.
because everybody then just like goes in their own direction of their own sun. So I mean, yeah, this time is finished. The South Node is no longer in Libra, it's finished. Venus is being purified over there in Pisces. She said, like, oh, yeah, it's time to forgive, let go, and move on.
Yep.
I mean, it's just great. I mean, this chart is just like, literally, we can just personify and humanize all this planet and create stories.
I mean, you can. You absolutely can.
Yeah,
It's
where,
a pretty chart
yeah, yeah, it's
where
a
there's a
couple.
kite, there's a grand trine. What did you say? There's a mystic rectangle.
Yeah,
Oh, I see
Mystic
it.
Rectangle, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Oppositions, some squares. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Do we have any closing thoughts, or we
Hmm.
feel accomplished?
I
We
think we
feel we
feel
done.
complete. I mean, I would just be repeating what we've said.
Yeah. Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And like like we agreed that this chart is not about trying to logically explain it and figure it out. It's about like, well, you need to feel, how does this feel in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I had such a difficult time deciphering it. But ultimately, what did come out for me is this internal um, shifting the intention inward and learning to feel the emotions. Feel the emotions is the beginning of learning how to work them. And also that Mercury in Capricorn is learning to bring our minds to this place of um, a container for our emotions, because Capricorn can be seen as the emotional container as well,
Hmm.
being the opposite of Cancer. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Mercury in Capricorn, that like, because it is in this ground Earth trine with this Uranus and the South Node, even is it? No, what is it? Oh, it's square in, sorry, it's square in the, okay, so what is it? No, it's not even a trine in Uranus. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the moon.
It is, though. Yes, it is. It's Taurus,
But
South Node.
Mercury, but Mercury is too far. It's on seven
Oh, it's
degrees
not on
only.
Mercury, it's
Yeah,
on the sun.
it's on the sun. But
Yeah.
anyway, either way, they're all in the Earth signs, and it's to me this Mercury really is like, well, I mean, it's going to move forward, but doesn't matter. But this Mercury is technically saying that when we master this mind, it will really help us to break free from this survival mode. Because Uranus is on this Capricorn decan, and with the
Yeah.
South Node, that then you use everything that was as your anchor point and as these lessons learned rather than something that has to be repeated. But yeah, with the Mercury in Capricorn, it's just such a multidimensional Mercury in Capricorn. It's just like
It
so
is.
so crazy to just limit it to simple definition of what Mercury in Capricorn represents, because
Yeah.
there is so many different avenues you can explore with Mercury in Capricorn. But it really is about you learning to master your mind and create the reality you want, and
Yeah.
thus break free from this survival mode of existence for which
Yes.
we had to reincarnate so many times and die and suffer and be humiliated and all that, and it's no longer necessary. This is just not
No.
the way it's going to be going forward.
But this is a mind shift. It's a shift because Capricorn's a yin planet,
Mm,
a yin sign, and so
yeah,
it's internal.
yeah.
And Mars is also in yin sign. So these typically outward going planets are really focused inward, where we have to learn about making the inner self strong and really understand what our emotions are doing for us. Because once we have control over our emotional field, then that's our guide point.
Mm.
It's like the internal lighthouse. It will tell us which way to go instead of being told from external. The nodes have left Libra. We're not doing that anymore. It's going to be very internal. Virgo is also an internal, a yin sign. So
Everybody is in a yin sign apart from Chiron, Jupiter, and Pluto. They're the only three, and Jupiter is in retrograde, so it's kind of like and ruled by Mercury. So it's
there
also,
you
and Mars.
go.
Mars is ruling Chiron, and I mean, so all the rulers are in the yin sign as well. But what I wanted
Yeah.
to say about the emotions, that you see, like once we healed the trauma and the knee-jerk reaction and the subconscious mind that is communicating through the emotions, then it will be so much easier to hear the voice of our soul, because at the moment the emotions are communicating what needs healing. But once the healing
Yeah.
takes place, then the voice of our soul, the inner guidance, will become loud and clear. But it's at the moment stifled, and it's like weakened by that which needs healing, because that's the number one priority at the moment.
Oh, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. But, let those emotions bubble up because keeping them in doesn't clear it out.
Oh no, exactly. No, no, no. There is flooding for sure. With the North Node in Pisces, there is no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Especially when they're gonna conjunct with Neptune, there is no doubt that the flooding is here already, and
Yes.
it's coming in a more extreme for sure. Like whichever way that's gonna show up. But yeah, but it's that, because like all of these things that are unhealed, they are stuck inside. So they have to come
Yes.
out.
They do have to come out. But I like how you said it, that once all of this comes out, we're going to have a clear path to soul.
Yeah, it's gonna be much louder, because then really it will be a messenger, like, whereas now
Yeah.
it's messaging us like, hey, there is a problem here. there is
Yeah,
an imbalance.
exactly.
There is an imbalance. Pay attention.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
why, like I was saying to you, that it was very interesting that Moon was the last and the first that aspected the nodes from Gemini 0 and 29 degrees, the analytic degrees. So there is no coincidence. Moon in Gemini making the final aspect to the lunar nodes from 0 degrees of Gemini before they moved into
Wow.
Pisces and Virgo, and Moon being the first one from 29 degrees of Gemini, making a square to the lunar nodes. So, I mean, there is no coincidence, because it really is Moon, the emotions, Mercury, the messenger, and Mercury being Capricorn. Master your mind and emotions, and then you mastered your life, because then the spirit's voice is loud and clear, and then you have no doubt anymore. You
Yep.
will never feel alone and separate.
Yes. I love that. That's a
Mm.
perfect final place. That's it.
That's it. Punctuation line, and we're done.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
pretty awesome. Here, I'm going to pull down this chart. There.
Awesome. Cool, Adrienne. Let people know what news you got to share.
Well, I am still writing my moon reports every 2 weeks. You can find them on my website. The link is on my website, jaskiranastrology.com. There's also all kinds of goodies if you're interested for a variety of different readings that I offer. I'm also posting on my Substack account, um, where I'm posting the moon reports. And then also you can find me on Facebook under Jazz Karen Astrology as well, where you can find the moon reports. So
Awesome.
that's what I got.
Cool. And I put all the links in a description so people can find it there.
Yay.
And yeah, and if anybody wants to connect with me, you can find all the info on my website, moonlightsoul369.com. And that's it.
Yay.
Cool. Awesome. So thank you very much. Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you,
Well,
everyone,
thank
for
you.
watching. This was very good unpacking of the cancer pool.
We did it again.
Yes. And yeah, and
So we won't be meeting for the next moon. Is this going to be the first break that we take?
yes, I have to take a break for the personal reasons. I'm taking some time off for myself. But yeah, then we get together again.
So I'll see you for the next full moon.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what is it, Leo? Yes.
Full moon. Okay. Full moon in Leo. Sounds good.
Cool. So until then, everyone, have a great time, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye now.
Bye.